Hey yogis, my name is Heather. Today we're going to be doing a 30-minute myofascial relief class focusing on the hips. So I'm going to walk you through the landmarks that we're going to get to. If you want to come up on your shin, right, and you put your hands to your back as if you were going to slide them in a pair of jeans, right? The back pocket of a pair of jeans. These are your glute muscles. So we're going to be working through the glutes today. And then if you bring your hands to your hips, and just start shifting side to side, weight to one knee and then the next, right? You'll feel a little muscle start to pop out into your thumb. And that is the glute medius. We'll be getting to that before we get onto the front of the hips, okay? So then we're going to come around to a small little muscle called your tensor fasciolata, and that actually feeds into your IT band. So if you locate your hip bones, it's going to be just below your hip bones and a little lateral, right? So a little to the outside. And we'll have some time to kind of explore that space and figure out where exactly that little muscle is on our bodies. And then the quad muscle. We're going to be working on the upper medial part of the quad. So we're going to get a 360-degree case of loosening and releasing some fascia in the hips. Okay? So for today, what you're going to need is the tote therapy balls or two tennis balls in the end of a sock. If you have the coregeous ball, have that handy. If not, you can use a blanket and just roll it up really firmly. And maybe a block or two, depending on our anatomy. Sometimes we need different things to support us. Okay? So we're going to start on our backs today. And you can either have your blanket rolled up nice and firmly, right? Or your coregeous ball. You're going to come to lay down on your back, bend your knees, feet plant on the floor, and then you're going to lift your hips, right? And so you're either going to slide your blanket underneath your hips or your coregeous ball right underneath your sacrum. Your sacrum is the flat, triangular shaped bone at the base of your spine, right? So either way, rolled up blanket or coregeous ball underneath the hips. Let the eyes close and soften. And just take a few rounds of your normal, natural breath. And as always with myofascial work, we're going to start with the breath. The breath down regulates our nervous system and lets us know that we're in a safe space, right? A safe space for our body to release whatever it's still holding on to, right? When our breath gets short and choppy, that's when we go into the flight or fight mode where we tense up, right? So we always want to have that elongated, that soft, easeful breath, right? And today we're going to do an equal part breath. So that just means the same length that you breathe in, you're going to breathe out. So I like to start with a count of 4, but if you've done this before and you know that 5 or 6 works better for you, you're more than welcome to. So just take an easy breath in and an easy breath out. And breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue those rounds of breath, equal in and out, about 3 or 4 more times. And if you're comfortable with 4, maybe extend it to 5. Creating space for your breath and easeful feeling in your body. Softness in the shoulders and jaw. Breathing in and breathing out. After your next exhale, just take an easy, natural breath in. And open the mouth, let it go. All right, now bringing your attention to your hips. The sacrum, that flat triangular bone at the base of your spine, is right on the ball or the blanket. And we're just going to start with a pelvic tilt. So on the inhale, go ahead and let the tailbone come down towards the ground a little bit more. Arch the low back. And then on the exhale, let the tailbone scoot forward and up. It's like your frontal hip points are coming towards your ribs. So inhale as the tailbone comes down towards the ground. And exhale, tailbone sweeps up. As always, working with the superficial tissues, right? The superficial fascia before we get into the deeper tissues. Warming up the space we're going to work allows our body to get used to the sensation, used to the pressure, and be more accepting, be more receptive to the therapy balls, to the exercises we're going to do. All right, come back to a neutral space, and you're just going to start to shift your hips left to right. So, working with those very, very superficial, very top layers. And then you can kind of start wiggling knees left to right, almost like you're corkscrewing or twisting on the ball. Yeah. Hips one way, knees the other. And this can be done, like I said, on the ball or the blanket. And then you can press off your feet and just start to move front and back. A little chugging action. It's always amazing to me the difference it can make, just taking a few moments to work those superficial layers. Go ahead, come off the ball or the blanket, place it off to the side, and let your hips set down. Notice the broadness, the flatness, how expansive or spacious it can feel. Maybe even a little more even from side to side. So you can stay right where you are. I'm going to show you where we're going next. So you're going to need the blue therapy balls in the tote. And so we were just working on our sacrum, right? That flat triangular bone at the base of the spine. You're going to take the therapy balls and they're going to go horizontally right across your sacrum, right? So it's hugging each side of the sacrum. Now, if you have any inflamed or active SI joint issues, we're not going to be on the therapy balls. You can use the blanket or the coregeous ball right underneath your sacrum, okay? So if you're healthy in the sacrum, right, therapy balls horizontally, right on that flat triangular bone at the base of the spine. Knees stay bent, feet on the floor, and take a few breaths here. There's lots of muscles, tendons, ligaments that, insert into or attach to the sacrum. So it can be really beneficial to work that before making your way around the rest of the hips. And then you're just going to start shifting weight left to right. So it's like you're in a boat on the ocean, rocking side to side. A little bit heavier towards the ball to the left, a little bit heavier in the ball towards the right. And then you're going to press into your feet and just start moving in a north and south direction, right? So the same way we did on the ball, you're just chugging north and south, right? It's not a huge movement. It's maybe an inch and a half in each direction. Noticing how that feels compared to when we did it with the blanket or the coregeous ball. Right? And then come to some stillness, and it's almost like you're trying to erase your sacrum, right? You're moving hips east to west. Same thing we did on the ball. the tote therapy balls just aren't going to move as much as maybe the coregeous ball did. Right? So hips left to right, like you're just erasing right over the balls. All right, come back to some stillness for a moment. You get about 3 breaths right in this compression. Breathing in and out, soft shoulders, soft jaw, maybe coming back to that equal part breath in the very beginning of class. All right, press into your feet, lift off the balls, let the sacrum set down. Just notice the difference there. And then balls are going to stay toted. And when we found that glute muscle in the beginning of this class, this is where the balls are going to go. The balls are going to be horizontal, the balls are going to be vertical, just to the right side of your sacrum. So you can feel your sacrum. Balls are going to be horizontal, just to the right side of it. What we're going to end up doing is rolling the balls across the glute to the outer hip. Okay? So we're going to start on the right side. You can remain on your back. Just turn the balls up and down, vertical, right? And place them just to the right side of your sacrum. And what you're going to do is press your weight into the ball. Hips go over to the left, knees fall to the right, right? And just like you're on a typewriter, you're going to come back to center. Press your weight into the balls, hips to the left, knees to the right. Okay? So working through that a few times. And I always like to remind people, I have to remind myself often, these are balls, they roll, right? You can always shift them back into place if they come out. And we never want to be rolling on pain, right? So we can move up, we can move down, we can even move side to side. Sensation is a good thing, but pain, a shooting pain, we never want pain. All right, one more time. And when you get to the outer hip, just let the knee, either the right knee or both knees, drop over to the right. Finding a pretty sweet spot out there. Big breath in and big breath out. All right. Bring the knees back through center. You can lift off the balls. The balls are going to turn horizontally. And remember when we found that glute medius muscle when it was popping out when our hands were on our hips? Imagine you had a really high-waisted pair of jeans on. The balls are going to come horizontally right to the very top of that back jean pocket. Okay, so same side we were on the right side. Balls just turn horizontally at the very top of that back jean pocket, right? Now you can roll onto your left side. Sometimes it feels better when your back's on the ground, sometimes a block that props you up or even a blanket, right? And you're going to extend this right leg out in front of you, right? So left foot's on the floor, right leg is long, and you're leaning into that glute medius muscle. So press the outside edge of the right foot into the ground, and you almost might feel your body kind of lift up off the ground a little bit because that's the muscle contracting. And then as you exhale, you're going to soften the muscle down and release. Inhale as you press the outside edge of the right foot into the ground. Exhale, soften down. Feel the muscles like melt like butter, right? Inhale and exhale. Right? So always your free permission to move the balls around as you feel comfortable, right? A few more times. All right, you're going to point and flex the toes. This is our pinning and stretching. So we're pinning the muscles down, the tissues down with the balls, and we're just moving the muscles around them. And then the last one, inhale as you lift that right leg high. Exhale, bring it down to the ground. This one is always a really tricky one for me. Find your big breath, soft shoulders, soft jaw, right? No tension where there doesn't need to be any. And once more. All right, you can go ahead and come off the ball. We're going to take one ball out of the tote, and then we're going to find that little muscle called the plantar fasciolata. So if you're wearing a pair of jeans, that little tiny keyhole pocket, right? So it's just below your hip bone, and then move it a little laterally, so a little towards the outer hip, okay? So you're going to come to lay on your belly, placing the ball in that area. And you may need to shift around a little bit, figure out exactly where it is, right? And I guarantee with this muscle, when you hit it, you'll know, right? All right, you're going to tuck the toes once you hit it and start to strip. So move front and back, right? Up and down, up and down. And again, just like the sacrum, it's a very little muscle, so it's not a big movement, maybe 1 or 2 inches in each direction. Okay, so these are moving with the fibers of the tissues, so it's stripping. And if you do have the coregeous ball or even a blanket, you can place it underneath you. The ball actually is really nice to support the low back, but also help you roll. Right? All right, and then you're just going to shift the hips right to left. So we're cross-fibering, moving right over that little tiny keyhole muscle. All right, come to a still point, bend the knee, and extend the leg. Bend the knee, and extend the leg. And once more, bend the knee, and extend the leg. All right, you can reach down with your right hand and place the ball on the very top of the quad. So it's still a meaty portion. It's not this underwear line. It's below the underwear line, right? But it's to the top portion of the quad. So super easy transition from the TFL right to the top of the quad there. Now, if this is too much, right, it can be a lot with just one ball. Put the balls back in the tote and put them horizontally across your quad. That just makes more surface area, so it's less intense sensation, right? Or you can throw a blanket over the ball. So the toted balls are more like a forearm in a massage, whereas the one ball is kind of like a thumb or an elbow, right? That makes sense? So same thing as the TFL, you're going to tuck the toes and just start to strip. So moving up and down with the muscle fibers, right? Again, it's not a huge movement. We're not doing the whole quad today, just doing that little upper portion. And if you ever come over a place that is pain, right, move the ball up, down, side to side. Either one, finding a spot that is tolerable. You can still get to those sticky spots, but not being in pain. Right? And then come to some stillness, and then you're going to move your right leg out towards the right. Turn the toes out towards the right, and then as you move the leg back in towards the left, point the toes to the left foot. Right? So you're getting the inside of the quad and then the outside of the quad. Right? Breathing in and breathing out. Taking your time here because you can get into all those little tiny spaces in between the fibers. Right? I always liken myofascial work to flossing rather than brushing your teeth. One more time, in and out. All right, hands underneath you. Go ahead, press back to your child's pose. Maybe knees a little bit wider, forehead rest down. And just notice how it feels from right to left. Breathing in and breathing out. All right, go ahead. Come up to sit on your shins. Find a seat. And you're going to put the balls back in the tote. Now we're going to just take that same sequence to the second side. So then starting with our glute. So the balls are going to be vertical, up and down, just to the left side of your sacrum. Okay? So coming to lay on your back. Knees bent, feet on the floor. Balls up and down, just to the left of your sacrum. Right? And then press your weight into the balls Hips to the right, knees to the left as the balls roll to the outside of your hip. Okay? Come back through center just like a typewriter. Press into the balls. Hips to the right, knees to the left. All right? Take that a few times, moving with your breath, right? And don't get discouraged if the balls roll out of place. You got to put them back in place. They're balls, they roll, right? You may find something good along the way if they roll to a different spot. I never realized how much my glutes need this until I actually do this one. And I'm like, ooh, this feels so good. All right, next time you roll to the outer hip, let the knees fall over to the left. A few breaths here. All right, knees back through center. Balls turn horizontally, right? So imagine that high-waisted jean pocket at the back, right? Balls are just going to slide right underneath there, right? That glute med. And then you're going to roll onto that left side. You can stay on flat on your back, just knees dropping, or you can roll completely onto the left side. Extend the left leg out in front of you. Right foot's going to be on the floor with the knee bent, right? And then you're going to press the outside edge of the left foot into the floor and then relax as you exhale. Press it into the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale, release. Feel the muscles melt like butter. Right? And two more times. Right? Giving yourself permission to, move those balls around if you feel like it's not quite in the right spot. There's not a one size or one spot fits all for everybody, right? Everybody's anatomy is different. All right, next time you release, go ahead, point and flex the toes. This is our pin and stretch. And then my favorite yet least favorite one, as you inhale, lift that left leg high. On the exhale, slowly release it down. Feel all the muscles relax, right? Inhale, lift it high. Exhale, drop it down. Relax everything, right? Once more, breath in. And out. All right, go ahead. Come on off the balls. We're going to find our TFL, our tensor fascia lata. One ball out of the tote. Come onto your belly, right? So that keyhole front pocket just below your hip bone and a little to the outer hip, right? And again, we have some time where if you wiggle around a little bit, I guarantee you will feel when you hit it, right? Maybe a ball or your blanket underneath your belly to support your low back and assist in the rolling a little bit. Okay? Once you find the TFL, right, tuck your toes and start to move front and back, up and down. So this is one of my favorite ways to get at the IT band because this little muscle actually feeds right into the IT band. So instead of rolling, foam rolling, all the things to the IT band, working this little tiny muscle can really help relieve a lot of the tension and sometimes pain that can happen from the IT band, right? All right, go ahead, come to a little bit of stillness and just start to wiggle the hips left to right. You're cross fibering right over the muscle. So the muscle fibers run north to south and moving east to west is just going right across them. So you're getting into all those small little spaces. All right, time to move down to the quad. So left hand reaches down, moving that ball just to the meaty portion of your upper quad, right? And we're asymmetrical, right to left, right? We have different habits, different injuries on each side. So if this side needs the 2 balls in the tote, if this one ball is a little too much, right? Put the 2 balls back in the tote, have them run horizontally across, right? Or maybe you put a blanket over. Wherever you're at, tuck the toes. Let's start to strip, moving north and south. There's no sense in gritting and bearing it, right? We want to find that same relaxation, that same elongated breath that we had in the very beginning. Those big inhales and big exhales. If you find your breath getting short and choppy, maybe put a blanket over the ball. Maybe put 2 balls back in the tote. Just a little tiny movement north to south. All right, you're going to come to a still space. And then moving the left leg out towards the left, toes point out to the left. And then bringing the left leg in towards the right leg, point the toes to the right leg. Right? Inhale as you reach them out. Exhale as they come back in. Right? This is one where I always have to readjust where the ball is because we are rolling it so much. Right? Never a bad thing. That's how you discover a lot of different areas, right? And taking your time here, moving in and out, really letting gravity help you out with the weight of your leg, moving into all those small little spaces. All right, one more time. And then hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself back to your child's pose. Maybe knees are a little wider. Notice how the hips feel. Notice how the glutes, the quads, how everything fits. And then go ahead, walk your hands in towards you and come to lay down on your back once again. Bring your feet to the floor once you get there and let your feet come wide to the edges of your mat. And then drop your knees over to the left. Just let your knees hang out in space for a moment. Notice how that right hip feels, the quad, maybe even around to the glute. And then bring the knees back up through center. So feet stay wide, knees bent. Just going to drop the knees over to the right. Same thing. Notice how the left side feels. And then bringing the knees back up through center. Right, give yourself a little squeeze as knees guide into the chest or rock side to side. And then extending legs out in front of you, maybe placing a blanket roll or even a bolster if you have it right underneath the knees for a little support. Taking up as much space as you'd like, take a big breath in and open your mouth, long audible sigh out. And allowing yourself some time and space to allow what you just did to integrate into your body and not just be up and out to the next activity, to the next thing. Give yourself at least a few moments, a few minutes. And if you have longer, by all means, take a 5, 10, 20-minute Shavasana. And I will leave you here, my friends. So thank you so much for joining me. Drink plenty of water the rest of the day. And I hope you have happy hips. Namaste.